Welcome to Millennium.Milestone Presents, a site dedicated to storytelling in books, movies, video games, and other exciting genres. Today we dive into Season 1 of The Penguin just before the season finale on Sunday. The gritty crime drama showing the criminal underworld of Gotham City through the eyes of Oz Cobb has surprised many with its toned-down departure from the comic-centric focus The Penguin is known for in DC Comics. The series shows us the world of a down-on-his-luck henchman of the Falcone crime family who dreams of being something more than his namesake. But before we get to further details, let's do a quick recap of the first 7 episodes leading up to the finale. We start off with Episode 1, After Hours. After the assassination of Carmine Falcone and the flood of Gotham City's seawall, Oswald Cobb is caught by Alberto Falcone, Carmine's son, heir to the family empire, recovering a stash of Falcone's valuables from the Iceberg Lounge. After some coaxing with drinks, he gets Alberto to reveal his plans to revolutionize the Falcone's secret pharmaceutical operation. The show gives us an immediate idea of the dark tone it will take after Alberto ridicules Oz's aspirations to be a powerful monster, only to be impulsively shot by him. While trying to dispose of Alberto's body, he catches a group of juvenile delinquents who attempts to steal his rims from his car. One of the delinquents, Victor Vic Aguilar, is spared after hearing him stutter and recruits him on the condition of helping him get rid of the body. Oz learns that the Falcones plan to assume control of his drug ring and is frazzled by the sudden change, but is reminded that his voice means nothing to the upper heads of the Falcone family. Meanwhile, Alberto's sister, Sophia, newly released from Arkham Asylum, suspects that Oz is responsible for Alberto's disappearance. Oz wants to skip town, but is discouraged by his mother Frances, who holds him to his standard not to cower in fear. So instead, Oz visits Falcone's rival, Salvatore Maroni, in Blackgate Prison, offering to bring him the operation back into his control. While Maroni is reluctant, he reconsiders his offer when Oz returns a ring that Carmine had taken from Maroni. Sophia later captures and tortures Oz, but is distracted by the sudden recovery of Alberto's body staged by Vic to implicate Maroni's crew. Oz is released and begins plotting with Vic to take control of the Falcone crime family. In the next episode, number 2, Inside Man, we're brought back to Blackgate, where an irate but grateful Maroni agrees to Oz's partnership by allowing him to help with a Falcone drop shipment that is to be taken by Maroni's crew. After the messy heist, Carmine's brother Luca arrives to head the family. Sophia, suffering from PTSD from Alberto's death, becomes increasingly unhinged and is convinced someone in the crew is a mole for Maroni. She bribes a retired GCPD detective formerly on her father's payroll to investigate the heist, and the man kidnaps Irvard, one of Maroni's henchmen. Also in the episode, Frances, Oz's mother, is revealed to be suffering from dementia. Maroni's wife, Nadia, assigns Oz to retrieve Irvard before the Falcones get to talk to him. During Alberto's funeral, Oz assigns Vic to plant evidence to frame Falcone's underboss, Johnny Vitti, for Alberto's murder, while he reaches Irvard to have him implicate Vitti. However, Vic is caught trying to plant the evidence and barely escapes. Oz murders Irvard with a switchblade and frames Sophia's enforcer Castillo as the mole by planting the weapon on him. Luca executes Castillo, denying Sophia's demand that she do so to avenge Alberto, and orders her out of the family business. Oz makes Vic dig a grave for Irvard and Castillo, threatening to kill him if he fails him again. He then meets with Sophia, utilizing what had just happened to propose a partnership to wipe out the Falcone family hierarchy so that she may be the one to take control. In the next episode, number 3, titled Bliss, we see in a flashback some background on Vic and his girlfriend, who are left orphaned after the seawall explosion, which in turn drowns their entire families. In the present, Sophia introduces Oz to a new drug that was used on her and other inmates at Arkham. Oz names it Bliss, and together they make a risky proposition to the Triads to help distribute Bliss. But they refuse to do business with them unless they gain the support of Vitti. Oz and Sophia blackmail Vitti for his support, threatening to expose him having an affair with Luca's wife. Reluctantly, he gives in to their demands and calls the Triads, giving them the assurance that they need to get into business with Oz and Sophia. Meanwhile, Vic is torn by his desire to leave Gotham with his girlfriend in pursuit of a better life, or staying with Oz to potentially become rich and powerful. He also fears that Oz will kill him if he tries to desert. When Oz learns of Vic's intentions, he admits he generally respects him and allows him to leave. After arriving at the bus station where his girlfriend is waiting, Vic has a change of heart and chooses Oz over his girlfriend and returns, only to find Oz and Sophia held by the Maronis, who have realized Oz's duplicity. Before a hitman can execute Oz, Vic crashes Oz's car into the hitman and they escape, leaving Sophia abandoned to her fate with the Maronis. In the next episode, titled Centani, the episode opens with yet another flashback where Sophia learns from a reporter that Carmine is suspected of being the infamous Hangman, a reported serial murderer who strangled and hanged his victims. Her mother had died under mysterious circumstances very similar to the victims when she was a child. Desperate for answers, Sophia meets with the reporter privately. Oz alerts Carmine, who retaliates by framing Sophia and having her committed to Arkham Asylum, horrifying Alberto and Oz. Though she is only to be confined for 6 months, Carmine extends her stay to over a decade. She is constantly mocked by the inmates, while her doctor, Ventress, subjects her to electroshock therapy. Ventress' associate, Dr. Julian Rush, eventually begins to realize that Sophia is perhaps innocent and quits. The mental and physical strain leads Sophia into a breakdown, and she takes out her cellmate, Magpie, leading to her demise and revealing the birth of the dark and twisted mind of Sophia. In the present, Sophia is extracted to safety by Rush. Having learned from Nadia that Oz murdered Alberto, Sophia decides that she can no longer trust anyone. That night, she unleashes a gas in the Falcone mansion that wipes out the entire family hierarchy, including Luca. She spares Gia, her cousin's young daughter, and Vidi, whom she holds at gunpoint. In the 5th episode titled Homecoming, Oz gets his crew to kidnap Maroni's son Taj as ransom in exchange for the Bliss shipment stolen by Nadia in the last episode. At the same time, Oz asks Vic to take Francis into hiding. During the trade, a guard bribed by Oz tries to assassinate Maroni in Blackgate, while Oz kills Taj and Nadia by setting them both on fire. The fire activates chemical extinguishing sprays and destroys most of the Bliss, while Maroni survives the attempt on his life and escapes prison. Meanwhile, Gia is sent to a children's home, and Sophia tortures Vidi until he decides to support her bid to be the family head. Joined to Rush, who has fallen in love with her, Sophia rebrands the family under her mother's name, Gigante, and earns their loyalty by arguing how they were mistreated and neglected under Carmine's rule. When Vidi objects to her plans, Sophia executes him. She and a grieving Maroni later form an alliance, plotting to kill Oz. Elsewhere, Oz is in a panic upon learning of Maroni's escape, losing the support of his lover, Eve, while his mother berates him for forcing her to hide in the condemned apartment. Oz remembers an abandoned underground railway, showing it to Vic and declaring this their new base of operations to regrow Bliss. In the 6th episode titled The Summit, Oz has managed to rise back up, gaining back his ambitions to regrow his empire significantly, reproducing and redistributing Bliss in an underground trolley network. Sophia and the Maroni's people pick off several of Oz's Bliss dealers as a warning, leading him to give away Bliss for free to raise demand across all the other gang territories. Meanwhile, Vic is confronted by Squid, a drug dealer from his neighborhood who tried to recruit him in the past. He catches wind of what he's been up to and asks him to join Oz's operation. Vic attempts to pay him off out of loyalty to protect Oz's secret, but when Squid threatens to expose everything to get a meeting with him, Vic shoots him dead and flees. Meanwhile, the terrible conditions of Crown Point begin to wear everyone down, including Francis, whose condition deteriorates further, still bitter that Oz has not made something of himself or provided anything significant to her. She also realizes that if things were going downhill from here, she needed to ask Oz to promise abundantly to kill her if her condition worsens. All this lights a fire in him, where he goes and threatens a councilman to restore electricity to Crown Point. After this amazing feat, he later sets a meeting with the heads of the other gangs, who he convinces to work together against the Gigantes, Maronis, and the upper elite. Sophia and Sal break into Oz's apartment to find leverage against him. There she discovers a photo of Eve, prompting her to go pay her a visit, threatening to kill her to get to Oz. But he gives up his location after Sophia reveals to her that Oz was aware of the true identity of the Hangman. Francis and Vic dance to music after power is restored to Crown Point just as Sophia enters with a crowbar, ending the episode. And now, episode 7, Top Hat. We flash back once more to the past to catch up with Oz as a child, resentful of the attention that his mother gives to his brothers Jack and Benny. She gives the boys a task to get tax papers that were forged by her to Rex Calabrese, the local mobster Oz idolizes. After the task is done, the boys go to an underground tunnel to play a game of flashlight hide-and-seek. In one of the darkest moments of the season, Oz gets angry at his brothers for going down a lower tunnel he's scared to climb down to, and leaves them trapped inside the overflowing sewer tunnel, and goes home leaving them to drown. In the present, Oz returns to his apartment and finds an injured Vic, who reveals that Sophia has kidnapped Francis. Vic escapes right before Maroni arrives with his men. Maroni beats Oz and forces him to take him to his underground lair. There, Oz and his men stage an ambush and shootout ensues. Maroni chases Oz and tries to kill him, only to suffer a heart attack while fighting Oz and dies. Meanwhile, Sophia has Rush interrogate Francis about Oz's weaknesses and visits Gia after learning she intends to cooperate with the police. Disillusioned after seeing the pain she has caused Gia, Sophia considers accepting Oz's ultimatum to trade Francis for his bliss supply. But Rush convinces her to go through with her desire to see Oz suffer. During the trade, Sophia sends in a bomb that destroys Oz's base and kills his entire crew. Oz survives by diving into the lower tunnel, the very tunnel where his brothers had died, and resurfaces only to be knocked out by Marcus Wise, the detective Sophia bribed to kidnap Irvad. And now that we have our recap, on to the finale. Episode 8, A Great or Little Thing. Using the same therapy technique that Sophia underwent after her time in Arkham, Rush learns that Francis already knew about Oz drowning his brothers and tried to have him killed, but could not bring herself to do it. We now go to the present, where we see that this therapy session sets the stage for a very uncomfortable conversation when Oz is brought back to Sophia. She pits the two of them against each other, accusing Oz of his childhood dark secret. Oz refuses to admit his actions, even as Rush tortures Francis, trying to sever her finger, forcing her to confess that she knew all along what he did to his brothers. This leads to another tragic moment as she gets up and disowns him and suffers a stroke right in front of him. In spite of what Francis had said, Oz escapes with her, kills the detective, and brings Francis to the hospital. Meanwhile, the local bosses abandon Oz for Sophia, who puts out a bounty for Oz, offering the keys to her kingdom as she prepares to leave Gotham and everything else behind. Oz is seemingly caught by Zhao and brought to the airport to decide his fate, but as we've seen time and again, Oz is always a step ahead of Sophia, who had not realized that Vic arranged for the bosses to be murdered by their deputies, who in turn help Oz abduct Sophia. Instead of killing her, Oz has his police contacts return her back to Arkham Asylum. Oz and Vic visit Francis to celebrate, only to find that she entered a vegetative state, causing Oz to break down. Later that night, Vic tells Oz that he views him as family, which Oz reciprocates. But then, as dark and twisted as Oz is, he murders Vic, saying that family makes people weak. If anybody threw a shoe at the TV at this moment, we'd understand. In the concluding scenes of the episode, Rush has returned to Arkham to care for Sophia and hands her a letter from her half-sister, Selena Kyle. What will this lead to? Who knows? Then, to add to this already dark and twisted story, we get a shot of Oz living out his fantasies by taking the vegetative Francis to his new penthouse suite, where he dances with Eve dressed as Francis, claiming that no one stands in his way, just as the bat signal in the background shines in the sky to end the episode. Well, all I have to say is wow. From start to finish, The Penguin, in my opinion, is one of the best written series of 2024, with this dark, twisted American dream theme. While not on the level of The Sopranos, it certainly comes close and perhaps is more on par with Ozark. Matt Reeves and Lauren LaFranc hit this out of the ballpark with the amazing style of writing along with the rest of her team. Colin Farrell is the standout of the series, making this character come to life under all that prosthetic makeup, and brings a brilliant performance that no one could have expected until his appearance in The Batman, which I believed helped to give more attention to the series. He does a great job of being this low-life scum of the earth that you sympathize for just a second and go right on hating him for the next. Kristen Milioti's performance as Sophia was rich with scary, dark, believable tones of a woman scorned that would stop at nothing to gain back the power that would have rightfully been hers. The writers in the series understood that the world of the mob was not one where a woman could easily have the head of the table through manipulation and having the right connections. While her goals don't align with everyday normal people, you relate to her sense of family when her brother is killed and her desire for revenge after her life was ruined in Arkham Asylum. Renzi Felice's performance as Victor Aguilar was surprising and believable for a role that people say there is not enough diversity of. While the character might have easily come off as stereotypical, the writers did a good job of humanizing a thug who came from nothing and wanted more. How can you not relate to someone who wants a sense of belonging to a family? The thing that made you feel Victor for him was the Penguin's last line as he suffocated the life out of the young man who had so many hopes and dreams, whom he had called family, saying, "You got a good heart." Deirdre O'Connell is another standout. Her performance as Frances was written to perfection. Her dementia and past trauma because of Oz became the perfect linchpin to the origin story of one of Batman's greatest villains. The Penguin's theme of power, family, identity, and greed shone through these four characters, some of the perfect four pillars of a crime drama. It shows people at their best and at their worst when it comes to these themes. We come to love their drive and ambitions, but at the same time hate the disgusting routes they take to get there. It gives us a reflection of the uncontrolled evil nature of people if left unchecked or balanced by something good, which sums up nicely at the end of episode 8 with the bat signal in the background. This was another brilliant move by Matt Reeves' team. Leaving Batman's presence ambiguous added to the series and was a nice layer of storytelling. Batman isn't everywhere, and it leaves more fresh storytelling from other perspectives. I can't help but think that this should have been the Batman movie we needed. No disrespect to Paul Dano, but the Riddler in that movie was a bit disappointing and should have been written at the same level as the Penguin. But who knows? Maybe the success of this series will give Matt Reeves motivation to go this route in the sequel. As for the Penguin, whether we get a second season or not, this was a satisfying story through and through. What I hope can be considered by Matt Reeves and his team for the future is perhaps use this route as a way to hype up the next Batman movie. Take another villain origin story. Take us down a rabbit hole. If you can pull off the same success you did with the Penguin, you might be onto something fresh and new to audiences. Well, that's my review of the Penguin. Admittedly, I'm still new to this style of video making and hope I can do more to improve as time progresses. Your comments would be a nice way to find out even if you don't subscribe. Again, thanks again for everything and see you in the next video.